Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. St. Kitts and Nevis reaffirmed its relationship with Taiwan. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 6th April 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. St. Kitts and Nevis has reaffirmed its commitment to the diplomatic relationship with the People's Republic of China on Taiwan, especially as the 40th anniversary approaches. St. Kitts and Nevis established diplomatic ties with Taiwan after the Federation gained independence from Great Britain. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline has more.
St. Kitts and Nevis has reaffirmed its commitment to the diplomatic relationship with the People's Republic of China, Taiwan, especially as the 40th anniversary approaches. A statement from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service recently said, quote, "As St. Kitts and Nevis continues to enlarge its diplomatic footprint, it is pleased that this year will be a landmark year as we jointly celebrate our birth as an independent nation and diplomatic ties with some of our extremely close allies, including the Republic of China, Taiwan. As St. Kitts and Nevis continues to make its progress in its thrust to become a sustainable island state, we take this opportunity to commend the Republic of China, Taiwan, for its leadership in key areas such as technology, supply chains, and its essential value to the green transition and climate resilience. We cherish the robust partnership between both our countries since the initiation of our bond almost 40 years ago and look forward to deep cooperation in the future." End quote. This statement comes as Taiwan recently lost diplomatic ties with Honduras. According to a report on CNN, Honduras has formally established diplomatic ties with China and severed them with Taiwan, ending a decades-long relationship and dealing a blow to the self-rule island democracy in its struggle for recognition. China, which sees Taiwan as part of its territory, refuses to maintain diplomatic ties with any country that recognizes Taiwan. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
One attorney at law in Trinidad and Tobago has weighed in on the reported mix-up in the serving of the documents in the Vindra Naipal Coolman matter that led to the court awarding over $20 million to 9 former murder accused. The attorney was speaking on TV6 Morning Edition. Nicole M. Romney reports.
Attorney Farai of Masaisai explains that the lawyers who work in the Office of the Attorney General fall under the Judicial Legal Service Commission, and that it is the role of that commission to discipline its employees if they acted wrongly. However, he says, the buck stops with the Attorney General. This in response to AG Reginald Amore saying that the outcome of the malicious prosecution case was the result of the court filing being served to a department in the ministry.
Certainly that is what I suppose the investigator is trying to figure out who dropped the ball.
Right.
But when it boils down to it, I could only speak from private practice. I am a partner in a firm, and I've never been before a judge and say that my secretary did not do something. You have to take the blame. Right. You can't tell a court that your law clerk dropped the ball. No, you take the blows, right, and you take the accolades as well. So,
he notes, however, that if the claim is successful, that will change everything. And he tells us why.
It is proven that the documents were not served properly, then it is like the claim never started. So the entire, everything would be set aside. Certainly this is a matter that would require an appellate court to decide. I don't think any of the attorneys on both sides, because they are both learned silk, will be satisfied with a first instance decision.
He tells TV6, this case is far from over, as the court process can be very long. According to Mr. Masaisai, setting aside the matter in the High Court can take close to 1 year. adding that with regard to a procedural appeal, that can take at least 6 months.
And if it goes to the Judicial Committee, it can take about 2 years in the Judicial Committee.
So we're talking
so
about...
you're looking about 4 years, about 4 more years. But there's also an application for a stay, because remember the orders are there and you have to comply with the orders. So I believe the state did apply for a stay so that they do not have to pay over the monies. Because if they pay over the monies, then they have to try to get back the monies if they are successful. And that's a hurt.
Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
The tragedy of 8-year-old Zaya Morris and her mom, Kemba, trapped in the kitchen of their home by a fire which broke out at 5 a.m. on Sunday, plunges not only their family in grief, but the wider national community, including Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. TV6's Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan tells us more.
The Prime Minister has taken to social media to express anguish as another tragedy strikes the nation through the deaths of 42-year-old mother of 3, Kimber Morris, and her 8-year-old daughter, Zaya. Another painful day for all of us, commented Dr. Rowley, who said his heart goes out to families struck by such tragedies. His post reads, quote, "We will continue to improve our ability and infrastructure to minimize the frequency of such occurrences," end quote. Referencing the Express newspaper, which suggested the two were trapped by burglar proofing, the Prime Minister says such implements have become, quote, "essential in our world, but it is advisable that we review their construction designs to ensure escape during emergencies," end quote. The Morris family, meanwhile, disputes that their relatives were trapped by the burglar proofing, instead saying the windows had no burglar proofing, but by the time Kimber hustled the other 3 occupants out of the house and retreated for Zaya, the fire flared and obstructed their way. Photos of the house also shows the absence of metal bars. Dr. Rowley says, quote, "Given the dreadful repeat of this tragedy, now may be a good time to review all our individual situations to allow for improvements without compromising the security aspect of locked bars," end quote. The Education Ministry also expressed condolences on behalf of the ministers. Zaya, they describe as a Standard 1 student of the St. Bridget Girls RC School, loved by her teachers and classmates. The ministry says the school supervisor and officers of the Student Support Services Division are providing necessary interventions to the bereaved family, teachers, and students. Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Police operations were held in several parts of St. Lucia, but more so in Vieux Fort South over the last weekend, where acts of violence last month claimed several lives and left a 9-year-old boy injured and crippled commercial activity in the area. Law enforcement personnel thronged the community on Sunday and cordoned off portions of Shantytown, a well-known hotbed of gangland-style criminal acts which have stunned the nation. The nation's crime chief has assured citizens that their safety remains a major priority. The human resource capacity of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has been boosted by the presence of about 32 officers from the regional security system. Jason Darius of the DBS News World reports.
Royal St. Lucia Police Force operations in the south of the island over the weekend have gone viral on social media. Video images captured by residents at the time of the operation show the police force in huge numbers in the Vieux Fort Shantytown area, conducting shakedowns and searches as police continue to act in accordance with the newly implemented Emergency Powers Act. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Ronald Phillip, on Monday gave an account of the weekend's findings, indicating by all accounts the success of the police's operations.
From last weekend to the weekend, we had several operations in different parts of the island. I can tell you we recovered firearms, we recovered ammunition, we recovered drugs, a number of arrests were made. And what's going to happen, we're going to continue our presence, we're going to continue with those operations. I said before that we are not going to allow any group of thugs, any criminals to hold any decent citizens to ransom. With the Vieux Fort operation, We made several arrests for offences such as possession of ammunition, possession of drugs. We also arrested individuals who couldn't disclose where they had some large sums of cash, but these matters are currently under investigation, so I cannot give you the finer details, but several arrests were made in the V4 operation.
Police Commissioner Crucita Descartes-Pelios insists that the police's resolve will not waver and asserts that even long after the RSS personnel have left the island, the police will maintain its firm handle on crime, not only in the south, but the entire island. She says operations thus far have sent a stern warning to criminal elements.
Whatever we have received from government as relates to assisting in the crime-fighting strategies have been quite helpful. And of course, it has made our job quite easier. RSS being here is not an indication of lack of competency by my men and women in the organization, but it's just to increase the numbers we have on the ground. We are committed to continuing the operations not only in Vieux Fort, but throughout St. Lucia, because we want to make St. Lucia a better place and not Vieux Fort. And of course, I really must take the opportunity to commend the officers for the hard work they're doing and to encourage them that we will stay together to work as hard as we can, lawfully, to make St. Lucia a better place for St. Lucians and visitors alike.
Deputy Commissioner Philip revealed that the RSLPF's operations would be bolstered even further by recruiting an additional 60 police officers.
Currently, we're in the process of recruiting. As of July 1st, we hope to start training 60 new police officers as an addition to our existing structure. So that should take care of some of our manpower shortages.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force will continue with its intensified operations in its effort to bring St. Lucia's crime situation under control. For the DBS News World, Jason Narius reporting.
Over in the Bahamas, the Minister of Health and Wellness there, Michael Darville, comments on mental health study being conducted there.
Meantime, studies on mental illness among Bahamians still being conducted with the hope that a full report will be finalized soon. That from the Health Minister, Dr. Michael Darville, who maintains that the psychological trauma and post-traumatic stress post-Hurricane Dorian and the lingering COVID-19 pandemic are key contributing factors to the increased numbers.
We have children, when there's weather systems, they're impacted. There's a lot of things going on in our population as a result of the shocks associated with natural disaster and the pandemic. We are addressing it. And when I launched the Wellness Unit, I spoke about interfacing with the private sector so that we can provide nutritional counseling, psychological counseling, and begin to address a lot of the issues.
According to Darville, the recently passed Mental Health Act will soon be enforced.
I have 42 nurses that are now in postgraduate training that will assist us in our drive to address many of the mental health issues that we currently see in the country. Just look around. You go on corners and you see individuals and you wonder what's going on. These are signs of deterioration of mental illness, and it's all around us. This new Mental Health Act, and when I bring it into force, will address how do we deal with this issue of populations or individuals who have mental illnesses who are roaming our streets.
Hubbards is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.